Hey YouTube, hope you're well. Today I'm going to be doing a live video on Instagram. So if you're not following me on there, go to Instagram, follow Leathercraft Masterclass, and you'll see me there. And there's lots of content not available on YouTube via Instagram. So if you're not on there right now, checking me out, following me, then you're going to be missing out on loads of cool new content. So I'm about to go live on Instagram and interact with people on there. So this is obviously pre-recorded. So today we're going to be making these handles. Now this is obviously straight, it's going to be bent into shape. This is the finished product. And today we are prick marking, okay, and then I'm going to be stitching in. And as you can see, the top has actually been trimmed away on the finished one. So let's go live on Instagram. Checking connection, you are now live. Hello people on Instagram. Today I'm going to be making a rolled handle. So this is one that I've already made, and today I'm going to be making this piece here. Well, actually I'm going to be stitching it in. So to do that I'm using one of these, which is a little wooden jig that I've made for the course, the Turenne Luxury Handbag. Actually, no, that's not true. I made it for the Lancet Rolled Handle video course, which is part of the de Havilland travel bag course. So that's what I made. It's been modified for these handles because these are much smaller as they're going on a handbag. So the idea is it's cradled in there, nice and flat, and it doesn't move around, so we can prick mark it, we can crease it, we can cut out from it. Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to put them in. And as I always say, always copy your questions before you send them, just in case I miss them, and that way I can pick them up again if you resend them. So just finishing off here, making sure you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm just prick marking the handle, ready for stitching, nice and tight up against there. Now I am just prick marking here. I'm not actually going all the way through, which is obviously completely possible, should you wish to do so. So for this build, for those of you who've been following, especially members on the Leathercraft Masterclass website, will obviously know a little bit about this build already. But I'm making this with a 2.7mm iron. So very fine stitching. So a little smaller than your usual. Perfect. So just redefining that corner, and then we're going to stitch it in. For that I'm going to use an awl. Just a quick sharpen. Either side and the point. Using a small awl for this. One that doesn't have sharp sides, very important, otherwise you can nick the handle very easily. Alleyway Leatherworks is perfect. Haven't made it yet, but maybe it is. Let's just turn you guys so you can actually see what I am doing. So I'm just going to put these in the clams. Making sure we got it upright. Yep, we do. And this time I have pre-needled some thread. Hola! Hi back at you. Nice equal piece. Excess wax on there. Hello, Philip. Any new podcasts coming? None planned, no. See what I'm doing there. So what I'm doing here is just doing a couple of back stitches first, as you always want to do to reinforce the ends. Making sure they are nice and neat. Side by side, there we go. Perfect. A little tricky, especially on the longer handles when you're stitching these in. Sometimes when you're behind it, you've got a bit of distance to cover. It gets easier as you start stitching back. Unless you're stitching forward, of course, and then it starts to become a little bit harder. Hello, greetings. So let's have a look at the rear side, making sure everything is as it should be. I think I put a bit too much wax on here, to be honest with you. It keeps collecting. I'm just going to get a cloth for that and melt that in. I pre-waxed them like 3 days ago. Should melt things in a little bit more. So looking good on the rear side, so all okay. So this is where the handle comes away from the bag now, so I want to make sure everything's good before you carry on and it's full steam ahead. Oh, that's better. Otherwise, Leatherwork says, you're doing good with that hand stitching. Thank you very much. Atelier Havalar says, greetings human. Hello, how are things in Sweden right now? Hopefully you are doing well. Any new projects in the pipeline? As I mentioned before, guys, if you do have a question, just copy it before you send it. Because as I'm stitching, a lot of the time I'm looking down at what I'm doing, so I may miss it. And I don't want to miss your questions. Alrighty, so Liza Mercedes says, where do you get your stitching horse? My stitching clams are from Abbey, England. Right now they're clamped into the top with a small jeweler's vice, and at the bottom they're clamped with a Dream Factory mini pony. Telly Havilah says, sun is shining, planning a handbag maybe. What's holding the clamps together? Wishes and magic beans. And an M8 solid brass thread. File of the goods, hi Freddie. He's using English clams from Abbey, England. Is there an echo in here? What thread in this project? I forgot. Thread is Barber's vintage thread. It's around 0.5 millimeters or just under, so rather large for a 2.7 millimeter iron, but it seems to work quite well in this bag. I've got these threaded, as in I think I crossed them over and I have a rat's nest. So let's just deal with that. That goes through there like so. I must have picked them up in the wrong hand. Done. Atelier 56, Le Professor Jury. Right, what I am going to do now with the clams is move them forward. Yeah, just to let you know, the Abbey England clams are great, but they need quite a bit of modifying to get them working just right. I wish there were more options. There aren't many available, unfortunately. Because I think it's just whoever makes them for Abbey England is the only maker of English clams in the world. So they have a bit of a monopoly on that, of this style. Of course, they don't come looking like this. This is a French polish with an alligator wrap on the top with new fittings in a larger size in solid brass. So it's been pimped out a little bit, mainly because they get seen on the courses all the time, so we want to have something that looks nice, but they don't have to be finished to this level, of course. J Craft Leather says, haha. That's the worst feeling when stitching. Yeah, I know, yeah, it happens. Mainly on lives. Because I'm more focusing on what I'm saying than what I'm doing sometimes. It happens. Yeah, normally I wouldn't stop stitching and answer comments and start again and pick the needles up in the wrong hands and carry on stitching. Create a bit of a rat's nest. But wherever in the world you are, I hope you're doing well. The sun is shining today, which is nice. Coming into winter now, so I don't know how long, or autumn rather, I don't know how long that's going to last for. But I'm enjoying the extra natural light coming into the studio, which is always nice. Do that one again. Hello from Los Angeles. Now, I'm assuming that you have nice weather going on there. So yeah, it's 10 stitches per inch. It does take a little while to get through a handle this long. Actually, I'm not 100% sure how long this handle actually is. Measure it. So length to length, we are 16 inches, which in modern money is just under 41 centimeters. That's how long it is. It's going to be a hot day today, yeah, I guess it is. Helmanen says, hello there, good. Do you have any good budget diamond stitching chisels you've tried that you can recommend I can buy that actually doesn't bite into the leather when, sorry, I've got too many comments coming up, that doesn't bite into the leather when punched? I'm not sure what you're looking to avoid when you say doesn't bite into the leather when punched. If you could just explain what you mean a bit more, then I can give you a better idea. But as for budget, well, you get what you pay for, really. There's not a lot of good cheap tools per se. Budget. Probably Blanchard, Wouter leather. Wouter leather is about 10 pounds, which is about what, $15 or something near that. They're pretty good, ebony and brass, but their blades need a little bit of finishing. They're a little bit too square for my tastes, so I actually removed mine and exchanged it for a Dixon. I don't use it very often, to be honest. Yeah, Blanchard are kind of a standard. I wouldn't really go too much cheaper than a Blanchard. There are lots of cheap offerings, but you really do get what you pay for with alls. Right, there it is. Maybe just me, but I haven't took notice of the red wall behind you, specifically. Nice pop of colour in the video. Yeah. Sorry, I just got a missed call that has been marked as potential fraud. Well, at least Samsung's doing their job. Yeah, a little pop of colour. I might change it. It's kind of a burgundy, like a deep red colour, which kind of like, I do like it, but I might want to try navy blue or mustard. I don't know, that might be a bit much. Or I might just go back to white, I'm not sure. I think the rest of the workshop is in magnolia. Sun's going down a bit, let's turn the main lights on. I don't know if that'll make a difference. Hello. Helmanen says, when talking about all blades, I meant that it doesn't hold on to the leather when you pull it out. To be honest with you, that's kind of a lot of awls that you buy. They're not, the blades are not completely finished. It assumes that the craftsman knows how to, I mean, a lot of the old tools, especially the ones like Dixon, And Blanchard, to a certain degree, still have the mentality of they're expecting craftsmen to know how to do certain things. And a lot of people don't really want to have to buy a tool and then finish it themselves. I actually really enjoy doing that. And I never buy a tool and then leave it alone. There's always something that I'll modify. It's just my personality. But a lot of craftsmen will finish the blades by themselves. So you have to grind all the facets, not grind, but you have to sharpen all the facets on a stone first. And then you can go into stropping and polishing your blade. So the grinding marks are usually horizontal to how you push it through the leather, like that. So you tend to get a bit of a grab, but that just means it's an unfinished awl blade. It means it needs finishing by you. So it's not really a fault of the awl, but to get to that price point, a lot of manufacturers have to take out certain time-consuming things, and they know that you're going to have to sharpen it at some point anyway. But then again, a lot of manufacturers are dying out now because of that. Dixon was like that. None of their stuff was really finished when you bought it. It was down to you to kind of finish it to how you like it. But that kind of didn't survive, that ethos, I guess you could call it, that philosophy. Just going to scroll down, guys, just in case I miss. A lot of people saying hello. Atterrail Straps, hello. Cool. So we are about 2/3 in. Oh, we have a knot. We have a knot. Excuse me 1 second. Does happen sometimes. And this is why it's always good to have a little bit of nail left on your finger. So sometimes when you get a knot, you got to kind of put your finger through afterwards, I'm going the wrong way, and kind of stay with it until the last second, then pull it through. And what it's telling you is that these, you've built up a bit of a twist in your thread. So you just need to let it hang down for a second and they'll spin. And then you can bring it back up. It's usually when you've got a lot of twist, which is opposing the natural twist in the thread. And what will happen is as you relax your thread and you're pulling it tight, it will start to twist over itself, and then it's being pulled through a tiny hole, and it's not going to want to do that, and then you get a knot. A little test is if you have your thread taut like that, if you bring it down and next to the hole that you're about to go through, if your thread starts to twist around itself as you do that, you need to let them go. So occasionally just bring them together, and if they start spiraling, you're building up a bit of twist. That sun is hot. It's literally, I'm feeling my leg burning. I'm wearing dark brown trousers and it's quite warm today. Ish. I wonder what it is, actually. Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
At the moment, it's 16 degrees Celsius.
16?
Tonight, you can expect a low of 7 degrees. Hope you're having a good afternoon.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it feels a lot warmer than 16 degrees in here. Well, that's for sure. Stephen K. Gavin, how do Phil? How's Tricks? Tricks are doing very well, thank you, Stephen. What do you think about a designing course in leather? Are they worth our time? I'll answer that in a second. I'll answer an easier one first of all. Okay. Helmanen says, okay. Should I do like 1,000 grit sanding and higher? Regarding unfinished awl blades, well, it really depends. I mean, you might get a blade that's reasonably finished, so yeah, you could do that. But if it's very coarse, you might be there for a while on 1,000 grit or above, because you can't really put a lot of pressure on a blade. So it really depends. And from the same manufacturer, sometimes like Blanchard, they really do not give you a finished blade. Going back to the previous question, are designing courses worth your time? I mean, I'm sure there's lots of places that do design courses for, I'm assuming what you're asking is leather goods. The only place I'm aware of that does it is the London College of Fashion, which is going to be quite expensive. Is it worth your time? Well, it depends. If you want to become a designer more than a maker, then yeah, perhaps. Move that up a little bit. Move your thread out of the way. There's nothing more annoying than getting it in the perfect position and then all of a sudden you realise your thread is caught in the clams. A little bit higher up. Cool beans. Is it better to stitch while standing? I mean, better for your body. In general, standing is going to be a little bit healthier for your body than sitting. Yeah, I mean, a good quality pair of shoes. I mean, I have a decent pair of shoes that I have in here that are very comfortable. I have insoles put in them, like orthotic insoles. I'm standing on carpet, so it's rather soft, and you don't feel it in the back and the legs and the joints as much, because I don't really do well standing in one position for long periods of time. Not that I really need to, but as long as you've got good shoes and you're standing on a surface that's kind to your joints, then yeah, standing is going to be better. I mean, you can get a very good comfortable sitting position. Just reactivating the camera has a 30-minute limit on there. And I'm actually recording this for YouTube, so as long as the recording looks okay, I'll be putting this up on YouTube as well, from a different angle, much higher, for about 9 foot up. So for all of you who don't know, this is ostrich skin, which is what all those little bumps are. Stitching over one of the pearls right now. So I'm just taking a little bit more time, making sure that everything sits as it should do. A lot of exotics, you get very unique textures and surfaces, so you have to, like alligator, crocodile, that kind of thing, there are certain things you have to factor into your stitching and finishing and all sorts of things. So whenever you get an unusual texture, a little bit more care and attention goes into the finishing. Not sitting exactly how I want it to sit. And I have no qualms about stitching the whole thing again. So if ever you come up with an issue and the thread just doesn't want to sit the way you want it to sit, I will accept that. So bear with me, this must be, I might actually cut this out in the YouTube version. It's a little bit boring. Sometimes these quills can throw you off very slightly. Pull that out. Unfortunately, I will not accept an off stitch. Okay, all else fails. Here's what you do. You cut your needles and you pull it all out. Comme ça, very simple. And now while I'm here, I'm just going to re-wax those ends because they can get a little bit furry when you're using natural threads. All on a live, we're exploring how many things can go wrong on a single live whilst a certain number of people are watching you. Pineapple leather, yeah. I would like to try it for a laugh, but I would put into question its durability. I know someone who's tried mushroom leather and that new thing where they tan leaves, you know, these like big lily pad leaves. And yeah, it's just not quite there yet. I'm sure that one day they'll be able to not synthetically, but manufacture leather in a lab. I don't see why not. I mean, it must be very expensive to do, but you could potentially get sheets and sheets and sheets of cordovan leather, cordovan shell. In theory, you could make as much of it as you wanted to in a lab, and no animal would actually have to die for it. I think that is probably what our future is for fine leather, because it wouldn't be as natural, it wouldn't necessarily have the character, grain variation, it would probably be a bit boring, for want of a better word, because you can't really grow character into it. I guess the animal's story. But yeah, technically you could grow leather in a lab. And I reckon that's going to be the future. A lot of big brands would love to make that switch. Right, we're back in the game. We're back in the game. Do we have enough thread to finish? That is the question. Do you have any sources of inspiration for your designs? To be honest with you, yeah, probably classic English leather goods. Vintage. To supplement my making income, I used to do a lot of restoration work, especially handbags and cases and things like that. I used to buy them on all sorts of auction sites and redo the photography, and then sell them for more to make a profit. And I guess a lot of the design inspiration that I kind of really enjoy is from leather goods from that era, I guess early 1900s, early 20th century. That was when hardware was actually good. And some locks would be more like a Swiss watch than a lock. What I would do to work with some of that hardware new today, that would be something. I think I've just got enough thread to go through here. I just got a client asking if I can use cactus leather. I ordered a few samples from Mexico. Good Lord, that's interesting. Hey, if there's demand, as long as it's, as long as they don't come back to you afterwards and saying my bag's falling apart, it's your fault. But I guess you've ordered samples so you can do a bit of testing. That should be. I've never heard of cactus leather. I guess anything that's very fibrous could possibly work with a decent cell structure. I don't know how they tan vegetable-based leathers, not vegetable tanned leathers, obviously. Ooh, just gonna have enough, I think, for a backstitch here. A little bit close for comfort, but we'll get it done. Two stitches to go. What pricking iron do I use? Most often I use J. Dixon pricking irons. Last one. Trimmy trim. Right, back in the jig we go. So that is what we've done today. Don't know if that'll focus. Maybe if I move my mug out the way, we'll focus on that. Oh well. So you can see very small stitches, very tiny stitches. So that is what we're working with on the rear side. So 2.7, very small. Obviously it's going to look a bit better when we compress it down. So let's do that now. So back in the jig we go. Now you can't get in there with a hammer. So we're going to bone these stitches down. Bone them down. Bone in, bone in, bone in. On both sides. And then just redefining that edge so we've got a really nice defined edge, perfectly round. There we go. That's the rear side. Turn it right way up. That's the front side. So it just makes the stitches a little bit more prominent, Okay, so the next stage is marking a line for the stitches in front of the stitches. So we then have a cut to line so that we end up with this. So that's what it should look like. So nice and close to the stitches, but not too close. So we've got enough leather there for strength. So that still needs edge finishing. And also needs bending in. So right now it's straight. You can twirl it. But that's going to be bent into shape during the edge finishing process. So any questions before I go, guys? Anything you want to know? Any burning desires? As I pack my stuff away and finish my coffee, where did I put the end of my awl blade? The end of my awl blade, the little, is it on the floor? No, it's not. Oh, there it is. So I've got a little hat for my awl blade there, which is just a piece of bridle leather. That's longer than the blade, obviously, otherwise it would have gone through my finger there. That looks nice, thank you very much. By the way, how deep do you stick your awl while making a hole for stitching. I mean, do you stick it just to see the awl's tip from the leather, or do you stick it all the way? Sorry, I can't not laugh whilst reading that out loud. Full penetration, yes, I go all the way through, mainly because this is a straight-walled awl blade, so it doesn't really matter. So I can push it in a little. I can push it in a little bit all the way in, and it's the same hole. Oh shit! Got me going now. NG Design, bonjour, mon ami. Cool. Yes, and now two things in French that I can't read. What advice do I have for a beginner like me? There's never one piece of advice. There's always lots of advice, and you'll pick it up as time goes on. Practice, and always set an intention before you practice. Okay, so try and focus on one thing at a time. It's very easy when you start into this craft, buying too many tools, buying lots of stuff that you don't need. Set an intentions. For example, I want to learn how to hand stitch accurately. I want to be able to have angles on both sides. I want to be able to use an awl. I want to be able to master the pricking iron, things like that. Set an intention first and then start practicing that until you reach a satisfactory level where you're happy with the results, and that's where you can start. And then focus on something else, maybe skiving or thinning leather through various means, or practice cutting and things like that. And just expect that sometimes it's good to invest in leather, not to necessarily make something, but just to practice. So you could buy, and I did this when I first started out. I bought an entire hide and used none of it to make anything with. It was just cutting strips, practicing my stitching, practicing my cutting skills, and just kind of playing around with the leather, getting to know the leather. And once you get really close to the leather, essentially you build up a level of intimacy with the leather. You understand how it works, you understand how to manipulate it best, you understand how it responds to certain techniques, and then you can go, okay, now I'm going to try a different kind of leather. I'm going to try goat leather instead of cowhide. I'm going to try calf leather, and all these things, and they all react differently to stitching, to hammering, to cutting, to skiving. Because there's so many variables. So the most important thing when you're starting out is to set an intention of what you actually want to do. So what style of leathercraft are you interested in? What techniques do you want to master? And then focus on one thing at a time and get good at that. Then move on to something else that adds another variable. What tends to be the case is a lot of people new to the craft buy as many tools as they can, no idea what to do with them, but they've seen other people use them and somehow that makes them better. And then they buy all these different kinds of leather and soft skins and firm leathers and all this kind of thing, and it ends up being very, very confusing and overwhelming and frustrating. And that's one of the reasons I created the Leathercraft Masterclass courses, was to create a series of courses that take you from where you are now to where you aspire to be. Videos that can actually bridge that gap, so you can go step by step, starting with the basics of hand stitching, skiving, sharpening, what glues to use, and all sorts of things like that. But as a beginner, what I recommend is subscribing to the leathercraftmasterclass.com, okay, first of all, because there's lots of free stuff on there. And also I'm going to be I've already produced, I'm going to be coming out with a free course soon for you guys on how to select leather. So that's going to be a very important one for you guys to watch, and that's going to be coming up. So if you're already subscribed, that's fine. If you haven't subscribed, put your email in on leathercraftmasterclass.com. Don't forget to go and do so, because that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks, and that is really a foundation course. And once you understand high quality leather, the rest kind of fills itself in, because when you're working with the best leather, everything's just so much more effortless. It's like finding the best tool. Sometimes when you use it, it's like, where has it been all my life? So understanding what good quality is one of the cornerstones, the foundations of luxury leathercraft, fine leather goods. Sorry. You're so talented. Thank you very much. I really like your stuff. That's good. Yeah, I'm in the process of making a phone case for a friend. That's cool. You know, simple projects, good to start with. Phone cases, card holders, you know, keychains, things like that. So all good. But thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. I'm going to be putting this up on YouTube, if it's a good enough video, but I'm going to be putting this on Instagram TV again. Last time, apologies for anyone who's watching my last IGTV. I did the first in a series that I might continue, actually, called 60-Minute Leathercraft, where I attempted to make an entire project from start to finish in 60 minutes, which is the limit on a live. And I finished it in 55, and I put it on Instagram TV, even though it was right up to the hour. And Instagram TV chopped it off at the 54 mark, so it missed out like the end of it, where I was just finishing the edges. It's really annoying. I was seconds away, and it just cuts out, which is really annoying. So I don't know what's going on there. So apologies, guys, you didn't get to see the very end of it. I like it when you do these live videos. Yeah, they're a good amount of fun. It's always good when people interact, so thank you to all you guys who've actually asked me questions or interacted with me. For all those who haven't, don't be shy. If ever you want to ask a question, it really doesn't matter how stupid the question is, or because there's no stupid question. The only stupid question is the one not asked. So if you ask a question, I mean, you're mainly anonymous on here anyway, so you can say anything you want. But guarantee any question you have, there's somebody else asking the same thing as well. So it's always good to ask questions, interact. Makes these lives a lot more interesting too. Cool. Well, thank you for joining me, guys. Again, don't forget to subscribe, leathercraftmasterclass.com. Go put your email address in, and there's already something free for you waiting, okay, on how to properly use pricking irons, even though I have an awl in my hand. All right. Cheers, guys. Take care. Have a good day.